I had been sharing earlier that organization design is so important and how the organizations across industries, across the globe over times, design changes were happening. Functions were getting added and the whole industry was aligning. Somebody said, what is it that I need to do? Everybody is working this anyway. Even if I get into the train in the third coach or fourth coach, does it matter? I will anyway reach there. But remember, do you always have to be follower? And more important, the speed of the industry 3 decades back, 2 decades back, even 4 years back was so different. Now the speed is much more. The markets are shifting very fast. The processes, end-to-end processes inside are changing so fast because of the so much of automation, so much of AI now available. If these shifts are happening and the capabilities which we have had so far are aging quicker, this particular capability made me the leader, but very soon this capability would not be enough. That systems have to be broken. Upgrade the systems, stabilize. Upgrade the systems, stabilize. Upgrade. And if this is not happening, progress will not happen. And if you keep changing systems day by day, people will get confused at why you can't have one system in place. So this has to be done very systematic manner. This is where the organization design happens. So what I said, embedding capability earlier, for example, like quality function was added, the supplier quality assurance was added. Over a period of time, whatever system has been introduced, I won't say like a villain, but somebody who exposes things across. Over a period, these gets internalized. Everybody knows that this has to be done and we do it this way. When that gets embedded inside, then you say, what next? Now, the same people will say, okay, this has been internalized. What next we could do? And the progress keeps happening. So don't fear anything. Just see anything which is leading to some fear that this may happen or this is happening. Just see. Just listen, hear the fear and act on it. And that is where the key of your growth would lie. So, design. It's like a building. A building could be very good, but if the electricals, the wiring and the plumbing is not good, the building also is of no use. Same is with the boxes. If the design and the decision flow is not good, it will not give you much. Even if you have the best of the construction material, best of the architects have designed, that design is very important. I was talking about organization design and how it is so important and how across industries these have been shaping up. Someone asked me, who has been behind all these? There would be many. He says, have you worked on a design? And I recalled, and yes, I have. I had. In late 90s, when earlier I was working with McKinsey and then I had shifted over, and when I was doing in auto component sector, I worked in 97. Two-wheeler departments and the four-wheeler manufacturing was happening in the same plants. But as the complexities were growing and the expectations of a two-wheeler customer and a four-wheeler customers were so different in terms of quality and the features. So we took a decision of separating the two-wheeler and four-wheeler decision. We did in Minda Group, we did in GK and Inwell. We also did something more. Over a period of time, the organization layers had been increasing. So GK said, can you do something so that the layers are reduced so that the decisions get faster? And we worked on that. It's very simple to talk, but to introduce that change, first to be aware of that change, suggest that change, adopt it, and then ensure everybody is aligned. That takes time. Now it's so common. All the industry, we see two-wheeler companies with different, four-wheeler is different. Some stage it was introduced. Second, in this industry, there was another thing which I witnessed. When the organizations are growing, I talked about earlier, all these auto OEMs like Maruti, etc., everybody reduced the number of suppliers. So if I'm good in supplying A, they would encourage me to supply B. I am good in electricals. Can I supply lighting also? Can I do horns also? Can I do something in steering also? Because my quality is good, my people understand the requirements of the customer. And then there were changes which I have been witness of and a part of the decision making. We separated engineering from the operations. Reason, we wanted to measure productivity of everybody, but each person across the line. There were some ratios introduced across the industry, like value added per person, contribution per person. And engineering was a department where just expenses were happening for future and they would get plugged. So we defined the rule that engineering is a separate center, operations is a separate center, and they started to work separately and measured separately. So the operations was always working on productivity improvements. Engineering was saying, okay, whatever we have introduced now, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, how much of market is getting added? How much of higher value products am I going to add? Just a simple change. Both of them reporting earlier, but now they are separated. It's like two brothers working in separate areas with a full command to work and hand in hand. Any problem which happens in a new product, in the beginning, all the quality complaints they would solve together. That is what we call FMEA, failure mode effect analysis. Taking the learnings, whatever are happening, and ensuring that the engineering addresses from the root cause and ensuring that those things never happen in any product line. See, this is a change of design. It didn't stop here. Then we created separate SBUs, strategic business units, that you focus here in this industry segment, I focus here on this industry segment. My engineering and the other company's engineering, although part of the same group, they are focused. And then in design, we introduced one more thing. When we were shifting gradually towards automation from electricals, electronics, we created a central department of electronics, which could work for each and every SBU's engineering department. See, these are the design changes. They seem so small. But when you reflect on it, had those changes not happened, growth would have been very different. In one of the companies, I'm giving an example why things are taken for granted. I worked in a company manufacturing mobiles. They had grown from 1500 crore to 6500 crore. Guess in how many years? 3. They were importing from China. They would assemble here and they would sell. In the smartphone industry, they were amongst the least cost. And their phones would just sell because everybody wanted a smartphone. Talking about year 2014, 15, 16. And when I started to work on them, they said that the market is growing so much, we do not know how to manage. And they felt that I need to work with them in their marketing side. I did work, but within 1 month or 2 months, we all realized marketing is doing their job. Operations was not able to cope. So then the business excellence department, they said we had closed this department. Can you create this business excellence department and head it? It's not a department like a box. It's that thinking. When I started to work, I started working along with all the departments at this across departments. We are working on it like a process. It was not like adding people to the boxes. It was working in the process. Can you imagine how much change it brought in? We were doing 30,000 mobiles a day. We got up to 50,000 mobiles a day. With 1/3 less, instead of 2,000, we had 1,400 people. How? This business excellence exposed lots of things. And we worked, used them as triggers for growth. And we worked. How? Again, the design, the decision flow. The assemblies were coming from China, along with the layout on how these would get manufactured. And when we realized our thinking, the way we were doing it, I realized that a lot could be done in terms of deploying the line balancing practices. The challenge was what I had learned in auto components. We would take months sometimes to improve to certain levels. Here the challenge was within 2 days. Suppose 5 lakhs have to be made. Within 2 days the assembly could get over. So we had to rack our brains, work along onto the design, how we could do in the first 2 hours of manufacturing, so that the balance 2.5 days we were able to reach the output. So we worked with the engineering department, we worked with the vendor department in China, and we got lots of such triggers identified and we worked on them to streamline. Within 2.5, 3 months, we had achieved a new level. Again, design. So think of it, distance yourself. See, is it just the boxes or decisions, or we are just taking things for granted? It has been like this. China does this, all the countries, all manufacturers do it. Why do we have to change? But if you introduce that change, the growth will happen. Can you imagine in this company, a new plant had to be made to cater to the higher requirement. That was not needed. When you go from 30,000 to 50,000 a day, the need for the new plant goes down. And a question for thought, I am not giving the name. This organization in the fourth, fifth year of growth went down. Why? Again, design. So it's like a double-edged sword. You do it very well, you will grow, outsmart everybody. You fail in one place, in growth, in market, in competition, nobody forgives, not even your employees.